Hey everybody, it's Lavender Town, and today I wanted to talk to you about how I found my style and how you can find yours. This I thought was a good idea for a video, mostly because finding your art style is a bit more complicated than just technical skill like learning how to draw. You have to go out and find something of your own, and I think that can be quite intimidating for a lot of people. I certainly remember I struggled with it not even that long ago, so I thought I would try and explain how I found my style and basically some tips and pointers on how to make that whole process a little faster and easier. So let's talk about the copying stage. There's a lot of artists who are fully established and have their own style who say that young people and new artists should not copy, but I don't think that's true. I don't think I'd be where I am today if I didn't spend hours when I was a little kid copying Garfield. It got me used to drawing a lot and practicing, and frankly, I just really enjoyed it. I remember taking out tracing paper and literally just tracing Garfield and feeling so proud of myself that I could do that. And I'm not really sure what it was about Garfield specifically that I liked so much. My actual favorite comic was Calvin and Hobbes, but I couldn't read them in the newspaper because I was born after Calvin and Hobbes stopped airing in the newspaper. But yeah, I copied a lot of Garfield, and it was really fun. And after that, I copied Naruto. Naruto was my love and passion when I was 13. I even wore the little Leaf Village headband to school a couple of times, which is super embarrassing to think back on, but that's how obsessed I was. And I tried to copy the style. This time I didn't use tracing paper. I actually tried to draw what I was seeing in the manga and the anime. So that was actually a really good next step for me. I struggled a lot with it because Masashi Kishimoto's style is a lot more complicated than Garfield, obviously. And looking back, my art didn't even really look like Naruto in the end, but I think trying to copy it as best as I could was definitely good for me. It forced me to look for details in other people's art that I wouldn't have found just by looking at them. Copying them made me look closer. So once I was done with the copying stage, I started tooling around with styles of my own. I really like doing cartoony stuff, and so I did a ton of cartoons. I was inspired by South Park, I was inspired by Adventure Time, I was inspired by pretty much like everything I saw would eventually leak into my art for a little while. Especially Jonan Vasquez, and I also just loved a lot of anime. But after I started going to art school, I also was kind of forced to start trying to draw more realistic as well. So there was a time where I was having to do a lot of portraits and life drawing, so that also affected my style. And after all of that, this is what we have. My style now is probably simpler than it has been since I was a kid, and there's actually a reason for that. So here's the part where I talk about something that is kind of argued about a lot in the art community. To me, I feel like art is a tool, or at least that's its purpose for me. I use art to draw my comic and tell a story, and so basically I wanted my style to work well with that. I intentionally simplified it down to a very quick and easy to draw style so that I could do my comic and update twice a week and everything, even while I was going to school, because I wanted my story to not take 4 years to finish. I actually mathematically mapped out how long it would take if I was only updating once a week, and it would take over 4 years. So before I started Unfamiliar, I intentionally went out trying to find a style that was simple but charming that I really liked, and this is kind of what I came up with. So what I'm drawing now, though, is basically I'm trying to draw the opposite of my own style. Style is really about minimizing certain things and then accentuating certain things, or emphasizing them, making them larger than life. So basically I'm just doing the reverse of what I usually do on the other side, just to kind of show you how styles can develop. So on the side I'm working on now, basically I emphasized the nose, I made the eyes smaller, I emphasized the eyebrows, which I always make small on my characters, and I emphasized the mouth past to where a normal human's mouth would go. And I also am trying to incorporate more angles, more sharpness, in contrast to the roundness that I usually have in my own style. So I just thought that would be kind of an interesting thing to do for this video as well. Honestly, I really struggled trying to figure out how I can show you guys how to find your style. I mean, it is very a personal thing, and I even watched other YouTubers' videos about finding your art style, and it is definitely kind of a difficult thing to pin down. But at the end of the day, if you really wanted to, you could sit down and just decide to do a new style today and then stick with it if you wanted. And basically how you do that is you just create rules for it. So you won't have to keep those in mind once you get used to it, but at the start what you want to do is just think about, okay, what parts of the face am I going to make bigger and what parts of the face am I going to make smaller, and am I going to emphasize sharpness or roundness in my lines? That's basically how every style is defined. I mean, if you look at Adventure Time, for example, they de-emphasize the eyes so that they're small like dots. They have no nose whatsoever, so that's usually anyway. And they have overall quite a roundness, very few edges, and that's what defines the Adventure Time style. You can do the same thing with Invader Zim, even though Invader Zim is basically the opposite of Adventure Time style. Invader Zim emphasizes sharpness rather than roundness and makes the eyes huge instead of small. If you keep these rules in mind, you can keep your style consistent. You just have to decide on what the rules are, and then you're set. The proportions of the face are only one aspect of what makes up a style. There's also a really important aspect of a style, which is the proportion of the head to the body. This makes up a huge difference in how your style is perceived. When you make the head very large in comparison to the body, this reads as cute, it reads as more for kids. There are a lot of reasons to go that direction as well. It makes it easier to read facial expressions from far away. And the opposite of this, to make the head really small in comparison to the body, this reads as more, I guess, masculine, more adult. Generally, it can still be really silly and fun for kids, but you have to go to more effort to make it appear that way, just because when we're babies, we have huge heads compared to our bodies, and then those proportions slowly start to drift the other direction as we get older and grow up. So basically, in a lot of kids shows, they try to draw characters that are similar to kids so that kids can identify with them. And then with adult shows, this sort of chibi style isn't as popular because, again, they want the adult viewers watching to sort of identify with the characters more. This isn't always the case though. Family Guy, for example, the characters have quite large heads, and I do believe this is because they wanted the facial expressions to carry well and because it would make it easier to animate, perhaps. Basically, if I were you, I would ask myself, am I better at communicating emotion in my drawings through facial expression or through body language? Because it'll be harder to communicate body language with the large-headed character, but easier to show their facial expression, and it's the reverse for the other character. So that's basically how I would decide if I were you, which direction to go. So, in summary, practice with the styles of other artists, decide on the rules of your style, and then stick to them until they become second nature. This is really all you have to do. It'll take some trial and error, but once you've found your style, I promise you'll be happy you have it. And I hope this was helpful, and I hope you enjoyed the video, and yeah, have fun drawing. Thanks for staying to the end of the video. I hope it was fun and interesting to watch. I have been asked to do some live streaming, both by people in the comments and actually also by a outreach person at Twitch, so I don't have anything up yet, and I'm not quite ready to stream, but I thought I'd tell you guys my channel so that you can follow it, and then you'll get a notification basically by email when I start streaming. So there's a link down below if you would like to go and check out my Twitch. Hopefully I'll start streaming soon. I'm very excited. I think it'll be really fun to be able to talk to you guys in person and sort of live like that. And yeah, so that's a thing that's happening. This video was supported by my patrons, including Den, Adrian Delport, Adrian Morales, @Livs Likes to Draw, Painamel, Sorrow, Caitlin Foss, and Luna Sabroso. Thank you guys so much.